I am Jason Wiersema. This is Tankers Fantasy Football, and we got some great starts and sits for you moving into your Week 10 matchups. You're trying to get closer to clinching your playoff berths out there, and we gotta get after it. We gotta get after it for these starts and sits. But before we do, you know how we do it here at Tankers Fantasy Football. Maybe you throw us a like down there, maybe you go down there and you touch that little thumbs up button, or maybe you don't. Maybe you throw us a subscription, or maybe you don't. Maybe you go fuck yourself. All right, we're going to get right into some Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon looked to get it right and get it tight with the new OC last week. They're going to Oakland. We're giving the sixth fewest points up to running back thus far, but I am not afraid. I am all in on the Melvin Gordon this week. I think he'll be a very solid RB2 play for you. All right, we got some David Johnson at Tampa Bay, getting up to the fewest yards and the fourth fewest points out there. Two running backs. I know it's a tough one this week, but I think we're going to have to still start David Johnson out there. He's doing a lot of his eating during out of the receiving game. I know we're not really getting too excited about it. Kenyon Drake out there was getting it done versus the Niners, so he will probably still be involved at least as much as Chase Edmonds was before Johnson started injuring his back and injuring his ankle out there. But I mean, we still got to run him out there. I think we're still looking at middle RB2 production for David Johnson. We got some Marlon Mack playing against the Dolphins, giving up the fourth most yards, 176 scrimmage yards, two running backs a game. And Marlon Mack hasn't had over 17 PPR points since week 1. Two of his last three, he has under 9 PPR points. But you're looking at it, and I'm feeling he's only got like the 11 receptions on the year. I'm feeling like he's kind of an upper middle class Sony Michel out there, but I think he's going to be able to get it done this week versus the Dolphins for you. Got some David Montgomery. Lions are giving up the third most yards, giving up 177 scrimmage yards, two running backs a game, and the second most touchdowns, and the most fantasy points to opposing running backs. So all in David Montgomery this week. And we've got some Gus Edwards. It's kind of a reach play, You're desperate. You're on the ropes. You got injuries. You got buys. You need somebody off that waiver wire that can possibly get you 10 to 12 PPR points. They're playing the Bengals, giving up the third most yards, giving up 177 scrimmage yards, two running backs all game. Bengals got that new quarterback in there. I'm saying there's no fucking way this guy is better than Andy Dalton. I'm not saying Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, is a world beater, but I'm saying this guy, no way he's better than Andy Dalton. So we got AJ Green probably not playing this week. He's already saying he's not ready to come back. We've been waiting. He's kind of falling into more of the Deshaun Jackson category. I'm not sure AJ Green even exists anymore. We got Gus Edwards, back to that. Ravens are probably looking to push their shit in pretty hard. We might be looking at a big second half dose of Gus the Bus out there. So all in, flex play, RB3, Gus the Bus this week. We got some Ronald Jones versus the Cardinals. Give up 140 scrimmage yards a game. Give up the eighth most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Ronald Jones officially named the starter. Peyton Barber didn't do anything wrong besides being Peyton Barber. They finally see the light. Ronald Jones does look a lot better this year, averaging 4.1 yards a carry versus 1.9 last year. So Ronald Jones, get him in your lineup, RB3 this week. Got some Devin Singletary. Get this. What needs to be seen here, Bills? Frank Gore has 113 touches on the season. Singletary has 52 touches. That is less than half of Frank Gore's touches, and he only has half a fantasy point less than PPR. And you're saying, well, he catches more passes. That's only 7 receptions for Frank Gore and 12 for Devin Singletary. So that's not the gap here. The gap is Frank Gore is dusty old busted, and Devin Singletary is a shiny new sexy toy, and the Bills have got to start getting him out there more. And I think last week, after they watched Frank Gore just die over and over again 3 times in a row, just went out there and died at the 1 yard line. I think it is time to see the light, Bills, and it's time to play some Devin Singletary. All right, we got some sits. We got some Devontae Freeman at the Saints. We probably can't afford to sit Devontae Freeman. Just telling you kind of a temper expectations. He's probably more of an RB3 play than an RB2 this week. Saints give him the second fewest yards and the third fewest touchdowns to opposing running back. We got sit. I think we're going to talk about sitting. I think we're talking about sitting Kalen Ballage. I know we probably went out there, you got him on your waiver wire, you're thinking maybe he might be an RB3. I think we don't know what's going to go on in the Dolphins' backfield situation. They haven't really been able to produce at all. I think the top running back finish in PPR points this season was Kenyon Drake. For 1 week, he was like the 23rd ranked running back. It was like the highest watermark that the Dolphins have been able to give you for running back production this week. I think we're looking to sit Kalen Ballage. I think it's a wait and see. Even though you probably wouldn't spend some fab on him this week, I'd probably still leave him on your bench. We got some Joe Mixon playing the Ravens, giving him the 5th fewest yards. I know, Joe. I just can't get over you. You know what? If time doesn't do what it's supposed to do. What if I never get over you? And I'm fucking working on it, Joe, but I still got to play this week. I got buys. I got injuries. I got people playing worse than Joe Mixon out there on my bench. So I think we got to still run Joe Mixon out in the flex. I'm just saying temper your expectations. Another temper your expectations situation. We got Chris Carson at the Niners. Give him the 6th fewest yards and the 2nd fewest touchdowns. I know we saw Kenyon Drake do what he did, but that was on the short week. Now the Niners have 10 days of preparation back at home. I know you got to play Chris Carson, but I think he's more of an RB3 this week, like he was last week when he played the tough Bucs run defense. All right. We got some starts at wide receiver. We got Keenan Allen and prison Mike Williams. And playing the Raiders, give him the most yards, give him almost 200 yards, 2 wide receivers a game, at 199 receiving yards, 2 wide receivers a game, 2nd most touchdowns. Keenan Allen's playing me as well in my main hometown keeper league. And last time he did that, he went out and dropped a 40 burger earlier. I think it was week 4 this season. Went over and shit all over me. So I think he can get it done. And while it's prison Mike, he's had his touchdown drought. He had like 10 receiving touchdowns last year. Hasn't got his ass in the end zone this year. But I think this is the week for prison Mike to get it right. Get it tight. And get his ass in the end zone. So I think you can flex out some prison Mike as well. I got Calvin Ridley versus Saints. They're 23rd in fantasy points allowed. And Julio's going to be getting the Marquise Lattimore treatment. So I think Ridley should be peppered with targets in this game. Got some Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay giving up the 2nd most yards, 2 wide receivers a game at 197 yards to wide receivers. Giving the 3rd most touchdowns, as long as the most fantasy points all week, 2 fantasy wide receivers. Got some Jamison Crowder. I'm leaving Robbie Anderson's off the list. I've seen enough of Robbie Anderson. He's only scored over 8 points 1 time in the last 6 games, and that was that because of that 192-yard reception where the Cowboys just forgot he exists. Sam Darnold somehow found his ass, and he ran 92 yards to the end zone. That is the only thing that is keeping him relevant on this season whatsoever. I've seen enough, but Crowder can get it done. The Giants give him the 3rd most yards at 195 yards, 2 wide receivers a game. Flex play Jamison Crowder. All right, one more start. We got Pascal for the Colts. The Dolphins give him the most touchdowns to opposing wide receivers, so you just got some Zach Pascal off the waiver wire. So let's fire him up at the flex spot this week. All right, we got some sits at wide receiver. This is kind of a don't go out there chasing points situation. We got Marvin Jones playing the Bears, give him the 6th fewest yards and the 3rd fewest touchdowns. In only 3 of his 8 games this season, Marvin Jones has eclipsed over 10 PPR points. I know he's had that big 40-point burger out there. It's keeping him relevant, keeping him somehow in the top 20 in PPR wide receivers. But if you look at it, you dig deeper into Marvin Jones' career. The last time he had back-to-back 15-point PPR games was last year, weeks 2 and 3. And you dig even deeper, and he's never had back-to-back 20-point PPR performances. So I think Marvin Jones is worth a sit this week. Got some Josh Gordon, DK Metcalf playing the Niners, give him the 2nd fewest yards. I know DK Metcalf went out there and get it sexy for you last week, so you're probably going to play him in your flex again this week, but I'm saying temper your expectations, but leave Josh Gordon's bum ass on your bench. Don't even think about it. All right, we got some Odell Beckham Jr. playing the Bills, give him the 2nd fewest touchdowns and the fewest points to opposing wide receivers. Bills are kind of getting ran all over as of late, so I expect a big Nick Chubb game. But Odell Beckham is playing against me this week as well in that keeper league, so who knows? He could blow it up out there, but I'm saying temper your expectations, kind of more of a back-end wide receiver too this week. Got some Juju. Probably going to get the Jalen Ramsey treatment. Mason Rudolph's kind of looking like a pussy out there. I mean, if anybody's looking more of a pussy than Mitchell Trubisky, I'd have to probably go with Mason Rudolph. All he does is dump it down his running backs. Jalen Samuels had like, what, 13 receptions last week. That is absolutely insane. So I don't know. I think I'm looking to bench the Juju this week. All right, we got some Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. The Chiefs are surprisingly kind of tough against the pass, giving the 5th fewest yards and the 6th fewest points. 2 opposing wide receivers, so kind of temper your expectations. Maybe sit the Titans wide receivers this week. All right, we're moving on to some tight ends. Got some quarterbacks, maybe a couple defenses for you. Gerald Everett, I think he's a solid start. Brandon Cooks is going to look to miss this game. I know Josh Reynolds is probably going to be a little hot commodity. But I think we might see some Gerald Everett situation going on this game. He's got playing the Pittsburgh, give him the 5th most touchdowns. And Hunter Henry playing the Raiders, give him the 3rd most touchdowns. So all in on those 2 guys. Mark Andrews kind of been shitting it for us lately. I was in love with you, Mark, early on in the season. He's only had 1 game over 45 yards in his last 6 games. And Cincinnati, surprisingly tough against tight ends, give him the 4th fewest touchdowns and the 7th fewest points. You're probably running out Mark Andrews. I'm just saying. Don't really expect it to get too sexy, because the Ravens are probably just going to spend all their day running the ball down the throats of the Cincinnati Bengals with Mark Ingram and Gus the Bus. All right, we got some quarterbacks. Got Kyler Murray playing the Buccaneers, give him the 2nd most yards and the 3rd most points. 2 opposing quarterbacks, so all in on the Kyler Murray. Same game, flip it around. Jameis Winston playing the Cardinals. My bad. Cardinals give him the 4th most yards and the 2nd most touchdowns and the 2nd most fantasy points. 2 quarterbacks. We got Phillip Rivers on Thursday night. Got the Raiders. Give him the most yards. Give him the most touchdowns. Give him the most points. 2 quarterbacks, so all in on to Uncle Phil this week. All right, couple plays at defense. We got Colts versus the Dolphins. Dolphins are giving up the most fantasy points to opposing defenses. And the Ravens versus the mystery box at quarterback in Cincinnati. So I think both those defenses are on the 2nd page. They're not even in the top 20 of defensive plays this year. But I think go out there and get them off the waiver wire, or get them on the cheap, and they'll get it sexy for you this week. All right, you like the cut of my jib? Give me a like, give me a share. I mean, we got to get these likes and shares, getting it sexy out there, boys. I mean, we got these dreams around here. We got these dreams here at Tankers Fantasy Football that maybe we can get to 1,000 subscribers before the offseason. I don't know. I don't really think that's a realistic possibility. But if you are still watching this video right now and you haven't subscribed, better get your ass down there and press that red button right now. All right, boys. You got any questions? You got any start-sit questions? Any trade questions? Any waiver questions? Any life questions out there? Don't be afraid. Put them down in the comment section below. I will get back to you. I always do. All right, boys. Holler at me.
I'm hot as fuck, bitch.